Yes, team. Welcome to another episode of Discover and Develop. So, I want to carry this on from Monday's training. So, Monday's training was about seeking pleasures and looking at how instant gratification potentially is driven by the way our brain fires and wires in specific circuits and kind of what we long for because of things missing in our lives. So, we're constantly trying to fill a void for the feelings and emotions that we're experiencing every single day. And if we if our actions are being driven by feelings, by emotions, then we're going to fall short. There's a very high probability that you will fail because a lot of the time you're going to wake up in the morning and you don't want to do nothing. You don't want to go to the gym. Who wants to go out and do 10,000 steps every day? Who wants to only eat wholesome foods when there's loads of greasy, quick, convenient foods on the shelves and every corner of every road? Who wants to do all those things when it doesn't come easy? No one wants to do it. So how do we differentiate the people that succeed in this and the people that don't? And I believe it comes down to the way they are able to become conscious about their subconscious personality and the types of things that we discuss, even looking at habits and, really and truly understanding that a habit is, your body knowing how to do something better than you do, completely subconscious. And you've built certain neural pathways within your brain that makes that very thing quite easily to do. So when you want to change the programming that or the circuit, if you want to put it that way, the way you fire and wire, when you try to do something new that's better for you, your brain's like, whoa, 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 fuck you. Like you taught me to do this. So I'm not doing anything else apart from this. And this is when it becomes a very difficult kind of process. So you have to remember that your brain and your body, they're like a lost dog. It's always looking for what it knows, comfort, stability, what's easy. And it's what it says on the tin. It's an easy process. Your body is always trying to, or let's say your brain is really a conservation of energy. It wants to be able to conserve as much energy as possible because back in our primal state, many hundreds of years ago, 400 of years, might I add, we were hunter-gatherers. So, our bodies and our brains were always trying to conserve energy because we didn't have food at arm's reach. We could just go open our cupboards and our fridges and just grab it. Back when, back then before the evolution of, or the industrial revolution, should I say, you know, even way before then, things weren't that easily accessible. Whereas now we literally have it at arm's reach. So your body and your brain are always going to look for the easiest thing. And that easiest thing is what you taught it to do so far. So if you're used to having cookies after dinner, you're gonna have cookies after dinner. If you're used to sitting on the sofa in the evening and not going out for a walk or going to the gym, you're going to sit on the sofa and not go for a walk and go to the gym. If it gets to the weekend, it's a Friday night and your friends invite you out, rather than going out and choosing not to drink wine, you always choose and drink wine just because you've taught your body to do that. So don't be upset when your body's fighting against you. The thing you have to look at is you have to become conscious of these things that you're essentially programmed to do. And we've only taught ourselves how to do that. And don't get me wrong, it comes from, a lifetime of habits, the way your upbringing was. Let's say looking at certain events in your life that's really shaped your personality, your identity, your values, and how you can look to change that now. And once you become extremely conscious of it, once you know what your body wants to go towards, you have to be conscious on how to change that. You have to be conscious of not doing the actions that have always held you back. So, and why this is so difficult is because you've actually lost your free will to a program and there's no unforeseen hand doing this to you. You can't see it, you can't notice it, but it's going on every single day. And we get so frustrated when we don't see physical results, or, we don't have a good day of food, or we don't get good sleep, or we don't have a good morning routine that day, or we fucked up on our evening routine, or we had an argument with someone and couldn't hold our cool, or we wasn't conscious that day, we wasn't present, we allowed negative things to stay negative, we allowed a bad moment to turn into a bad day or a bad week. There's so many different things that we are programmed to currently do. So it's not that you can't do it, you've just lost your free will to a current program that you have to be extremely conscious about changing. We can reprogram, we can rewire, you can start to change the circuit that you're on, but you can't do that without bringing a high level of consciousness to what you currently do. And you have to think of it every single day as if you're trying to build something completely new. You don't walk into a job and know what to do on the first day. You have to learn. You have to know how the systems work. You have to know how to work with your colleagues. You have to know, what needs doing at certain parts of the day, depending on what job you're doing. You have to know, what time people go into work, what time people go for lunch. You have to work with people who you've probably never worked with before, different personalities. You learn on the job. And it's the same thing about health. You have to unlearn and learn what you've done and what you've done so far in your life. And you have to remember, a big factor of this is your attitude. If you've got a choice every single day, you have to remember that your attitude is one of them. Okay. You can wake up and you can feel tired. You can wake up and you can feel down and out. You can wake up and you can be groggy as hell and not be looking forward to the day. But your attitude is your choice. So you can literally get up, like I say to you guys, you can choose to jump in a rusty old car, or you can go jump in a jumbo jet. And your attitude is literally like that. So if you say, you know what, fuck it, I don't care what's going on right now, I'm going to have a fucking good day today because I deserve that. And no matter what goes on or how much stress I need to deal with, I'm going to find the positive in every single thing that currently goes on. And don't get me wrong, guys, I know if there's something really catastrophic like losing a loved one, that's completely different. But most of the time, you're not going to get that on everyday kind of days. But it's your choice every single morning to change that programming. When you wake up in the morning, don't fall into your subconscious state. Do not press the autopilot button. You can choose your attitude. You can choose to be conscious. You can choose to appreciate the day. You can choose to change your attitude to anything. You can choose to see how you perceive and manage stress and problems. You can change everything up just by your attitude alone. So remember, when you wake up in the morning, tomorrow, or whenever it is, just remember, you got to be grateful to be waking up in the first place, but your attitude for the rest of the day is dictated by your consciousness in the morning as well. I can't even express how many times I need to say that word consciousness, because when you're conscious of your behaviors and why they're there and what feelings you're feeling at a point in time, what emotions you're going through, you will undoubtedly be able to change it. Now, just remember that you are on a circuit. So you wake up in the morning and you think about problems. Very natural. We always think about the problems we've got to deal with. Remember that problems are memories. So memories are connected to people and things in certain times or places. And you recall on these things when you wake up and start your day. So remember what I said to you guys about 90% of what you think today is going to be what you thought yesterday. So if you were only thinking negatively yesterday or only thinking negative thoughts or not perceiving things very well with regards to what you did have going on in terms of stress, 90% of what you were thinking the day before is absolutely what you're going to be thinking the day after. And, something that hit home for a few people was that 50% of what problems you go through, a lot of the time you tell yourself bullshit stories. 50% of the time you've just added stories and stories and layers on a particular problem. So if you can think right now, the example I gave was layers of an onion. In the middle of that onion, you've got your core problem, okay? The root cause to all your problems. Could be childhood trauma, could be a certain event that happened in your life. It could be you're injured at the moment. But you build all these layers and all these problems. I can't do this because of this and this and this. And all of a sudden, you've got about 15 different layers to one problem that you had. Think about it, okay? If you peel back the layers of the onion, what is the actual deep root cause of what you're currently going through? How can you address it? How can you change it? How can you control it? If it's not in your control, if you can't manage it, then it needs to be put to one side, okay? And if it can't be put to one side, that's when you've got to do a deeper level of work on it. Peel back the layers of the onion, find what the actual truth is and what you're struggling with, and literally change it there. And there's this whole path of acceptance, because we can accept these things. We can peel back the layers and say, okay, it's this. But we fall into two pathways after that. And I call these the 3 A's, okay? The first path is acceptance. The next two paths are separate choices. You can either choose to avoid after you've accepted something, or you can choose to act on it. Now, we know the easy path, the one that we always choose, is avoidance. I don't need to do all that today because, yeah, I've got too much on. I'm too stressed. I'm too tired. I'm bored. I'm lonely. I'm anxious. I'm stressed. I'm emotional. I'm drained. I don't need to deal with this. I'm too overwhelmed. Or you can push all those feelings and emotions to one side and say, you know what, I need to act on this. Because if I keep allowing myself to move with feeling, to move with emotions, and to act only with those, then I'm always going to avoid this thing that I probably keep putting to the bottom of my list of things to deal with. And that moment you start taking action on the things that you know will help you move the needle forward, I call them needle moving activities. Once you can move forward with that, once you can move the goalpost, that is when you know that you'll start to shift and change your belief system. And you telling yourself that you can't do X, Y, and Z because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and all the rest of the numbers, that's a belief system that you've built. And it's built upon poor stories that you told yourself, and they're limiting beliefs. They're not beliefs that you're going to achieve something, they're beliefs of why you can't do something, or why you can't achieve something, or why you're not good at this, or why you look this kind of way. Those are bullshit stories. Really and truly, we can change so much about ourselves, and not change as a person in terms of who we are at our core. And most of us don't really know that. We don't really know who we are at our core. Like, you know, there's a book on this called Homecoming, which I haven't really read yet. I heard a podcast on it and it sounded amazing. And you get to a point in your life, and a lot of people do, when they're like, who am I even more? Like who am I? Who am I anymore? Like, who is Kieran? Who is your name? Like, you know, you have to ask yourself a question. Who am I? Someone said, oh, like, you know, who's X, Y, Z? Could you answer them? Could you answer someone if they said, who are you? What are you about? Be a hard answer. And you have to think about this. This is probably where a lot of people go wrong. The really difficult decisions you have to make, and the toughest decisions in the interim, is short-term pain. It's uncomfortable. It's never a pleasant experience. But this is when you achieve the results in the long term. It's a step-by-step process to feeling good. What people misinterpret feeling good as is those pleasure-seeking activities. So they would rather take part in short-term pleasures for long-term suffering. But they don't really realize the long-term suffering is on its way because they're so caught up in the pleasures. And this is where you may potentially be going wrong. You may be looking at food, alcohol, sex, drugs, money, material possessions, cars, clothes, nights out, you know, Instagram, all these short-term fixes, or giving you a little fix of dopamine in a very short time period, is only causing long-term suffering. But the really difficult decisions to say no to friends, the really difficult decisions to say, I'm getting up early tomorrow morning to go to the gym, or I'm getting up early to go for a long walk, or I'm going to do something completely different today. I'm going to jump out of a plane. I'm going to go shopping in a different supermarket. I'm going to go to a different cap. I'm going to have conversations with different people. I'm going to go to an inspirational or motivational event. I'm going to put myself into the environments where people are inspiring and actually lift me up rather than pull me down. And we don't really realize the environments that we put ourselves into, whether they're actually lifting us up or pulling us down. We don't become conscious of that unless we bring a level of consciousness to it. So just remember that if you're avoiding the short-term pain, the things that feel uncomfortable in the interim, because sometimes you have fear of missing out, feel like if the sun's out, you need to go to the pub because everyone else is going. You wake up in the morning, you instantly fucking regret it. Why? But just remember those feelings that those actions give you. And then remember that the pain and suffering that you endure, or what you believe is pain and suffering in the interim, is going to give you the success in the long run. And I just wanted to show you something else. It's not there. 1 second, guys. So I just want to give you an example of this client here, and let me see if I can resume the share. So hopefully you can see that. So this lady here, she has 2 kids. She runs her own business and is a full-time work. Her kids are 6 and 11, and both boys. She lived one hectic life, absolutely hectic. And she wasn't in bad shape. This is her going to the gym, guys, probably 5-6 days a week. But completely burnt out, no energy, no clue around nutrition, poor sleep, really poor nutrition with regards to like snacking because she was so burnt out. And she was basically on this never-ending cycle of burnout. She get a bit of energy, burnout, get a bit of energy, burnout. And when we actually looked at her lifestyle and the way she was being at home, how she was with her kids, how she was with her husband, we started to realize a bit of a pattern. And once we made these changes, once we actually started to identify what was really holding her back, she was able to make those good decisions because everything she was doing was on a whim. Nothing was really measured. Everything was random. Nothing was planned. Nothing was organized. It was, I should go to the gym because I need to go to the gym because I want to lose weight. But then I'm only sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night and I'm running a business literally every single day, 7 days a week. And I've got to look after my kids and I've got to be there for my husband. But she wasn't there in the capacity that she wanted to be. And that was a sad thing. And, there were ups and downs with her partner, and rightly so, because she was putting a lot of effort into work, but she wasn't managing her energy very well. And energy management is so key because when you experience burnout and you start to normalize it, burnout becomes your normal. And I see it time and time again with people. You've normalized feeling like shit. You've normalized feeling burnt out. You've normalized the feeling of not feeling good. And when she got to the level of thriving, and bearing in mind she's maintained this for 3 years on the right hand side, and to attain it is a difficult thing. To maintain it is even harder. And the beauty of it is once she had her kind of systems in place, the planning, the organization, and don't get me wrong, every week wasn't perfect, but it was really fucking good, like really good. And once she had everything set in stone, that was completely congruent with her lifestyle, her needs. She trained 3 days a week. She done one run, and she managed everything with her nutrition. She gave extra time, good quality time with her kids, good quality time with her partner, her husband, and she was able to go from surviving to thriving. And managing all those plates and keeping them spinning whilst pretty much optimizing your health at the same time is not easy. So I just want you guys to consider really and truly how much of your potential you're leaving on the table. And I'm pretty sure it'd be a hell of a lot. So I'm going to ask you the question. What do you actually want? What potential is being left on the table? And looking at what we discussed today with regards to energy management, with regards to being conscious about decisions, understanding that your body is always, on your mind is always going to choose the easy option. How can you now start to change maybe one thing, just getting up early in the morning, doing a plan and organizing every single week, or doing a daily planner for every single day, making sure that you adopt social support, making sure you have difficult conversations that will lead to great outcomes, making sure that you get everyone else on board in your home, making sure that you choose you. Remember, being selfish is a selfless act. I don't care what anyone says, because this is my my belief, but I'm going to put it in this way. If you're a parent, if you're a colleague, if you're a boss, whatever it might be, if you're going to give people 80 to 100% of you, you have to serve yourself first. Otherwise, you're going to be unhappy, low confident, low moods, impatient, snappy, and you're just going to be a really difficult person to be around. However, or you're faking it. Or they can get the happy, upbeat, confident, high energy, high moods, patient kind of person that really everyone wants to see. So let me know if this helps. And yeah, I mean, looking forward to seeing your feedback.